Hello, my dear friends. Hello, my beautiful women. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jane. I'm a life coach, a women's coach. In this channel, we speak a lot about self-development, understanding the self, how you can activate your feminine energy and become the magnet to all your dreams and desires. And today we're having a very unique setting with a very unique and gorgeous woman.
Thank you.
Xenia, hello.
Hi.
We're having a podcast together. I met Xenia recently in Dubai and I was shocked by your intellect, by your energy, your feminine energy. And today we decided to share our insights about femininity, about money mindset, and about numerology with you, as both of us, me and Xenia, we are super passionate about numerology, and after a few conversations we found out that numerology really can change your life if you know exactly what are your numbers and how to use them wisely. Xenia, tell a little bit about yourself. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting, and I'm very excited to have this conversation because I feel like we've always, every time we see each other, we speak about the same topics that we're going to discuss in the podcast. Every time we're messaging each other, it's always like a very deep life conversation that touches like feminine energy, that touches numerology and everything else. So I'm excited to share that. And also, I think it's a very interesting topic for me personally, because for my background, I work in crypto. I work as head of marketing. So I'm surrounded by men 24/7. And I work in the industry that has a very bro culture. And to be honest, for me, my character personally, I'm very strong. And I think also coming from my background, it was always kind of a journey of accepting that being strong doesn't rule out being feminine as well. So I think it's I had a lot of like retrospection around this and a lot of things that I'm implementing into my life at the current stage because I'm taking up more responsibility for work. And I think it's always comes back to the balance between like being a leader at what you do and kind of fostering your masculine side and also being feminine and trying to strike the balance and find the perfect middle.
It's really true. I agree with what you say. You know, I was really impressed when I found out like what you're doing for work, as you have a pretty, like, I would say, masculine industry, but still I was impressed with your feminine energy, and I was shocked how you can pursue this kind of career and have all of these goals. I know that you're very ambitious, but at the same time keeping this feminine energy, and each time I meet you I feel your presence, and I cannot say it is like rough and masculine if I think about your work. It is more like soft, it is nurturing, it is intuitive. I would like to discuss in this podcast today, for all my beautiful women who are watching this channel, how is it possible to maintain your feminine energy while still keeping that ambitious side, while still earning your own money, achieving goals, and creating that masculine structure, let's say, in your life. However, keeping that flow state, that softness, that feminine radiance, and we will discuss that. How
Exciting.
does it sound?
Sounds amazing. I think it's one of the hottest topics now, because especially like as we're both traveling, we're both not living in the countries where we were born. I think it always creates some kind of a cluster, right? You hear a lot of different ideas, and at one point you realize that nothing works. Like what we have in our countries doesn't work. What we have like in the Middle East doesn't work either. What we have in Europe, people are getting confused. So I think it's one of the most interesting topics now, especially seeing that women work more, women have a lot of responsibilities, but at the same time they're trying to stay feminine, find relationships, and it's kind of an increasing problem now.
I totally agree with you. As we were speaking before the podcast, I was telling you that I see that nowadays it's amazing that women become very empowered. They realize their power, they realize their potential, they become even more successful in some areas than men. But at the same time, I see the tendency that so many women are nowadays single, are unhappy, are not able to feel the true contentment, even though they achieve the results, even though they earn a lot of money, but still there is some missing puzzle in that. And I believe, from my perspective, it is that feminine nature that they forget while achieving all the results and becoming independent. And it is highly important for all the women to remember, not necessarily learn how to be a woman, but remember, come back to their nature and realize that in order for them to feel truly 100% content, it's not only about goals and it's not only about making money, but it is also about returning to their nature.
Exactly. I really like that you were saying that we don't have to learn, we have to remember. Because I think from the onset, all of us were born as women, so we're feminine from the onset. But then, we have this layer of society always telling us that being feminine is this. Being feminine is not working, let's say. It's depending on the man. Then we all have cultural layers that are telling us that if you work, if you earn, you're intimidating for men. It doesn't even matter whether you earn more than him, you earn less than him, he's intimidated because you're independent. Which I think modern society, it kind of, if it doesn't crush those pre-existing beliefs, it at least challenges them. Because we see so many couples where the woman is a star, but her man is a star in his respective niche, and he's enamored with her exactly because she's independent, exactly because she does not depend on him, and that's why he wants to take care of her.
Exactly. I think this view has two perspectives, as you say. From one point, it is said that women lose their femininity while keeping their career going, but at the same time we've learned as women that we need to keep a certain lifestyle, a certain character traits in order to be perceived as feminine. For example, as you said, in our culture, women usually perceived as feminine when they focus more on building family, they stay at home, they support their man, they're this emotional support rather than the provider in the family. And now when women started to grow, when women started realizing that they're also smart and capable, some women are afraid to go there because they're afraid that if I will start becoming successful, if I will start earning my own money, I may lose my partner, I may lose this dynamic. It was always my fear, to be honest with you, to earn money and to pursue my career, as I was taught in our culture that career goals, achievements is more on the masculine side.
Makes you tough.
And no man would want, I had always this belief, limiting self-belief by the way, that if I will be in that role, man would not be attracted to me as I am basically occupying the masculine side, or I will attract feminine men. Because it also works when you are in your masculine dynamic, you naturally attract the polarity.
True.
Yeah, like what do you think of that in terms of if the woman is pursuing her goals and making money, how is it possible for her to still keep that feminine side and to still be desirable by the masculine? This was the question I was searching for myself for a long time. I haven't answered, but I want to hear yours.
I think money is an interesting topic because to me, money is never about money. It's about something that is like, as you said, predefined beliefs that you have. And there are a lot of limiting beliefs, right? Especially something that we're getting from previous generations of women. Because I think our generation, we're kind of at the crossroads. So we know that you have to work. We don't even have to work. We want to work. We want to achieve something in life. But at the same time, we have all this, I would call it like a generational memory. Something that we learned from our grandmothers, from our mothers, and we don't realize that they lived in a completely different time. And a lot of things, I'm very close to my mom, and my mom also certified as a psychologist, so we have like a lot of those conversations with her. And a lot of things that, let's say, we have from our grandmother, she has them because her life reality was like that.
What kind of reality? What kind of set of beliefs, in your opinion?
I have a very funny story about that because since childhood I was playing chess. And I was always in a boys' club. I was the only girl in the chess club. And basically I got my, I'm a candidate in Master of Sports in chess because apparently chess is a sport. And my grandmother was telling me all the time that I cannot share this. Like I cannot tell guys that I can play chess. And I was like, what do you mean? Why? And I always thought that this is like crazy. I'm like, what do you mean? This is like, that's a part of me. I spent like 7 years doing that. And it's one of the things I really enjoyed. That's one of the things I was proud of. But you know, the funniest thing, I remember I started dating someone, and I wanted to say about chess, and then I was like, no, he's not gonna accept it because, you know, this is gonna make me intimidating. And then he started asking me, what do you do for work? And I was like, is there nothing else we can discuss about me? And then I was like, wow, so this is not something that's coming from me. This is something that is like my trigger because I heard this and I was immediately like, maybe my previous relationships did not work out because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy talking about work. I like achieving things. And I think it's a very tricky topic, right?
It is. I think it is very important, no matter what, in all the relationships, what makes you truly attractive is when you're being your real self.
Exactly.
Basically, it's a very interesting perspective and an issue, I feel like nowadays, that women do not understand exactly what femininity means. And they use all of those set of beliefs and programs that were given them by their culture, but it is not necessarily the true definition of femininity. For example, as you said, like your grandma was telling you not to tell men that you are playing chess, but if we look at it from another perspectives, it makes you interesting, it makes you smart, and this is your unique talent in a way, because not many women can play chess, and I feel like it can be something very unordinary about you. And I believe that a smart, interesting, mature masculine would be actually intrigued and interested because your intellect is quite strong if you love chess, for example. So
I agree. I think it comes back to, you know, like, first of all, for me, what helped me a lot, I'm very much into psychology, and I've been like that for years, and recently added like astrology, numerology, and all other things to kind of diagnose yourself, like type yourself, I would say, and learn how to compensate the things that you have from birth, or like things that were your beliefs from your family, from your society. But I think for me, it's very important to, first of all, to identify that this is something that I heard from someone. This is not my belief. This is not real, so to say. And then to be able to break it down. Because even in that situation, I was like, Grandma, do you think I should go out with a guy who's dumb? And she was like, no, of course not. Why are you saying that? I'm like, why would he be scared if he's smart? Why would he be scared that I'm also smart? Exactly. And then she was like, I didn't think about that. That's a great question. But if you don't challenge those things, you kind of carry them with you your whole life. And then you bump into the situation where you just realize that like you lost so many opportunities, or you did not behave as your true self, simply because you heard something that you thought was true.
It is quite hard, you know, to distinguish whether it is your own thought or it is like a belief that comes from your generation, for example, your mom, your grandma, or your dad. And when I found out that it is really possible to change your life once you will realize what kind of limiting beliefs are holding you back. It can be in about like relationships, earning money, career, and become aware of those beliefs and catch yourself when, for example, you start behaving based on those limiting beliefs that your mom said or grandma said. Okay, you can be a smart woman, and I believe it is very attractive, but there is a tendency when the woman is smart, when the woman is successful, she's earning big money, there is a tendency to get into a competition with the masculine. And this is what I was facing many times in my relationships. And even though I didn't want to be there, but it was happening like naturally, you know. And then I was seeing that I start to deem his masculine energy, and at the end it's two masculines, and it is impossible for two masculines to be in the couple. So how, in your opinion, it is possible to keep your feminine role and not slide into this competition state, while sometimes you can be even smarter than men in some ways, not stronger physically, but mentally. How to address this issue and maintain beautiful relationships if you're a smart and ambitious woman?
I think it's a great question, and I think it goes even beyond the relationships in a couple. Because in a couple, it's just, you can see it more profoundly, right? Because as a couple, you have two people and you both form like 100%. So if you are 80% man, he has to be 80% woman, right? So I think it's all of us.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, all of us have where everything is dual, right? So you have your masculine part and you have your feminine part. Let's say if as a woman you have to keep your feminine part higher in certain areas of your life. So if you are inside yourself 80% of a man, if you transmit this energy, you will inevitably attract a man who is 20% a man. Yes. It has to be like 100 in total. But I think it also goes to work relationships as well. Because, you know, like what I noticed, especially working with men, every time I'm trying to confront them head on, they don't understand. Because I think that we all have animal instincts. Like straight away we react to something. If you see a guy who's aggressive, you understand that. Like as a man, you understand this because it's like this is the energy that is very natural for this creature, so to say. If you're a woman who is trying to behave as a man, men are gonna be incredibly aggressive to you because they don't understand. They see like a creature that should behave in a different way, but then it tries to like behave like a man.
Why do you think women tend to compete? Like, what's the wound there? Because if we were all like aware of our feminine nature, we would not do that. But why there is a desire for a woman to like be smarter, be wiser, be stronger when she interacts with the masculine?
I think I was thinking about this for a long time because it also kind of like my professional deformation, I would say, because in my industry, like I've been working in crypto for 5 years, and we do have more women now. But initially, when I started, let's say I would go to a conference and I can be the only woman in the room. And to me, at first, I remember the first time I went to the conference, I was thinking that I have to dress in a certain way. Because let's say I cannot wear a dress like this because this is going to be too much. I'm going to be deemed unprofessional. I'm like too much of a woman to be perceived as somebody who's serious. And then I started hearing from the girls I know, from my friends, who decided that they're not going to do makeup, they're not going to do their hair, they will dress as kind of tomboys. So like t-shirts, you know, like the same way that guys are dressing, simply because they think that they will not be taken as like serious experts. While I think, and then at the same time, I think my breaking point was when I started seeing Asian girls, because I'm always enamored with Asian girls. I think they can be like,
what?
I love how Asian girls behave, because they can be like very sassy, very feminine, and even like sexy, because sometimes they wear something that's revealing, but at the same time, they don't draw any connection between the way they look and their professionalism.
Why do you think so? It's something in their culture, or
probably, yeah. I think at least for me, like the image of a woman in some Asian societies is more like, you know, kind of like beautiful and strong.
Yeah.
So the woman can do both things, and I think in the Asian world, it's also this concept of duality is something that is very innate for them. So they appreciate like more male side in women, and also they accept that men have the female side as well. So I think it's a bit more like acceptance, I would say.
Which is true. I also want to add here that, and I always speak about this in my channel, that it is not only the feminine energy that you have. We have both, and it is important to balance, and it is important to accept that you have masculine side too. And without that masculine side, you would be unable to make a business, earn money, achieve results, and it is not bad as well, because I believe that this masculine side within you creates a certain structure for the feminine to flow. Because feminine needs a feeling of safety and stability. And you cannot put that feeling on another person, because you don't know if you will be with that partner or maybe not. So my biggest insight in the journey of activation of my feminine energy was to realize that I need to actually accept and activate my masculine.
Exactly.
And once I will do that, once I will create that foundation, stability, structure, inner foundation, my feminine would feel safe to flow, to relax, to lean back. And I think it is very beautiful when you accept both. And now I want to ask you, since we started this, let's talk a little bit about money, the role of the money, and how it is right, what is right or what is wrong. Because we've talked about it for many times, how earning your own money, creating that structure that I'm speaking about, that safety net for yourself, can actually enhance and make your life easier as a woman. What do you think of that? Because in our culture, in Russia, in the country where we were born, it is more of a traditional view that the man is the provider, the man earns the majority, like more money, and the woman is someone who is not really necessarily focused on money making, but more on creating like an environment, nurturing. I feel like now it is changing, and seeing how it has changed my life, I think it is important to discuss. What do you think about that?
For me, it was always very important to earn my money, but I think it was never actually about the money itself. It was more about safety, choice, and freedom. And we're going to talk a bit more about numerology after, but freedom is something that is the most important thing for me. Like, I need to know that I'm free to leave anywhere I want to leave. I'm free to choose any man I want to be with, not because like I cannot afford something for myself and he's paying for that, but because I really want to be with this guy and we're building a life together. So
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love this, and I support.
I think this is what money gives you. Like, the only thing, I'm very much on board with the man being a provider. I'm very much on board with and being from Russia, I think it's very difficult to kind of shift this mentality. Like, let's say if I'm on a date and if I have to pay for my dinner, I'm not gonna feel right. Just because I remember the way how my father was behaving. Like, my mom was always working. She's an incredible woman. She has a great career. She's a doctor. She has a great reputation. But at the same time, she always had her own money, and she has her self-realization. Like, she's actually very fulfilled in what she does. But at the same time, let's say when it came to my education, when it came to housing questions, this was always something that my father took up. And in this case, she knew that she could rely on him. She knew that she can take her life choices knowing that somebody is going to help her if something is going to happen. And I think it really helps you to, exactly as you said, like, to lean back and to be more in your feminine energy when you know that you don't have to hustle. Like, you do things because you want to do them and not because you have nothing to eat tomorrow.
I totally agree with you, and like, I have the same view on things, and because we were born in this culture, the man is viewed as the provider, and no matter if you earn your money, if you don't, like, usually it's the man's masculine role to provide safety, basic needs, and everything. But as I was living in London for so many years and meeting,
you got confused.
like, so many times while I was meeting men from different cultures, from Europe, let's say, when I was explaining them this concept that the man is the provider and the woman's money is the woman's money, basically, they were all confused. They were all looking at me, telling me like,
why? Have you been asked why? Like, why do I have to pay?
So many times I've been asked this question, like, that they believed it is not quite fair. You know, that if you earn your money, if you're successful, why it is only the man who has to take the responsibility for the major things, such as like, I don't know, rent, travel, food, and why the woman can enjoy her money just for herself, or she can maybe also like do things for both, like some surprises, some experiences, maybe for the family, for the kids, but it is not her role. And each time I was explaining that, I was faced with a lot of questioning and confusion from their side. How would you respond to this question if I would ask you why as a man I should take care of all of that? What are you gonna do?
I had this, I had exactly the same conversation with a friend of mine who is, she has an amazing career. She earns a lot. She's like super smart, super powerful and independent. And once, so I had a long story with my first date in London. We're kind of like on and off for years and then became like very good friends. But the first date, I just moved from Russia. I'm going out on the first date with a European guy. And I was a student, so I didn't earn my own money. And he was like 7 years older than I am and like having a great career at that time. So we go to a restaurant where they gave me the menu without the prices.
Okay.
And I remember that I was sitting there and I'm just like, how much was that fish? Because I wasn't quite sure that
But
I can.
he chose this restaurant,
Yeah,
right?
he chose the restaurant.
Okay.
But it was a very, very stupid and like a very comical situation because by the time they brought us the bill, like we had an amazing date, we spoke for 5 hours, they brought us the bill and I was like, I wanted to ask you, how are we paying? And he was so confused. He's like, what, with money? And I'm like, no, I mean like, how do we pay? And he's like, by card? I'm like, no, you know, like it's my first date in Europe, so how do we pay? And he started laughing. He was like, I invited you, so obviously I pay.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was afraid that he would say, we're splitting.
I never had this situation actually. But the funniest thing is that, like, you know, every time we were meeting each other, like every time we traveled, he was paying for things and he was not allowing me to pay. But at the same time, like...
Was he British or from Europe?
From Europe, yeah. But he was not allowing me to pay. And then a lot of times he was like saying that, yes, women from Russia, they expect that everyone is going to pay for everything. And I was like, I'm okay, I can pay for your dinner. Like, especially because we knew each other for like years. And I'm like, I'm earning now, so I can pay for your dinner. And he was like, what, are you crazy? I'm like, okay, so why are we discussing this? He's like, I just want to know why. Why do men have to pay? I was really confused. And then I spoke to my friend who's, she's European, she's Polish. And she was like, honey, just because it's okay for you, you just want that. He doesn't have to, but then he's not your man.
Yeah.
And I think it's as easy as that. Like, nobody has to pay for you. You don't have to be, you don't have to be feminine. You don't have to be masculine. If you want to do things, you just do them. And it's natural for you.
It is quite natural, but for some reason, like us women from Russia, we still like deep down expect that, you know, even though I agree with you, no one should be forced, and you should always do like from how you feel, but still for us it's even if the man would tell me like, let's split the bill. Так.
Боже.
Сейчас, подожди.
Может, что-то не то говорим или что?
Да, может быть. There is still some itch within me when it comes to this, because as we were spoken in our culture, in our background, belief system, it is something else, you know?
Yeah.
So we, like, I don't know about you, but deep down, as you said as well, that you kind of want the man to be a provider, it is like what we expect, in a way.
I think at least this is the explanation that I came up with for myself. I think we have a different psychology, like between men and women, right? As a woman, we become invested quite quickly. If we like someone, we're kind of parked there, right? We're less prone to like browse around if we found the guy we like. As men, I feel like, because they are achievers, they're hunters, they need to know that they invested into you. And actually, funnily, I didn't hear this from women. I heard this from guys. Like guys who are giving gifts to women, who are like pursuing women. They have this kind of tumbler in their head that tells them like, you know, I've been fighting for this for so long. I like put XYZ investment into this.
Yeah.
I don't want to move because I've invested here already. So I'd rather keep pursuing.
Yeah, I've heard this view. I find this quite true, you know. But for some reason, some women do not receive this kind of treatment, you know. Like I had a few girlfriends. Actually, most of my girlfriends have the same position, but still, there are some girls that tell me they are asked to split the bill on the dates, you know. So why some women receive a certain treatment and some women never receive the same? It's an interesting question. What it is about them that they are even never asked to pay it? Like you said, you were never asked to pay it in your life, to be paid to pay on a date.
Yeah.
What do you think makes these women different?
Interesting question. All the questions are interesting today because I feel like in those topics there is no right answer, right? It's just something that like works for you personally or works for me personally. To be honest, I think again comes to the point that we have a lot of very organic reactions, like straight away. You can kind of, even if your brain doesn't register that somebody is not behaving their true self, your body is going to register this, because we can see like in the body language, we can see in the way the person talks, like gestures, everything, what is natural and what is like a game. And I actually think that men are incredible in reading that.
I agree with you.
So if a girl is on the date with them because she wanted to eat, she didn't want to go with them, or if you know, like she just wanted to go out fancily, she wanted him to pay, and this is something that she's not like used to, or she goes on a date with a purpose, like she has this on the back of her mind, like who's going to pay for that, then it like kind of invalidates that she's on the date to have fun there, right? Because basically you provide your time, and it's the same, like the guy provides the time as well, but I think it's just different balance, right? We'll contribute different things into relationships.
It's true.
And for a guy, I think especially if he's enjoying, like paying for something is kind of like a token of appreciation. It's one of the forms of like acknowledging that I really enjoyed the time with you, I want to take care of you. But I think it's just, it has to be natural for you. Like, I went through this time when I knew that Europeans split the bills, I was always thinking like, do I have to offer? And I was offering, and the guys were like, no. But then at one point I realized, like, it's gonna sound stupid, but I realized that, you know, when I'm asking, first of all, if I like the date and the guy said, yeah, sure, let's split, I'm gonna be disappointed. Because like I'm wired in the way that I cannot pay for the guy's dinner, and like as bad as it sounds in any culture, it's just like for me, I'm gonna suffer inside, like honestly. That's just full stop,
right? There is still will be some itch within you.
I would be like, he's great, but I paid for that, what else am I going to pay for where I cannot rely on him? And like I cannot do anything with this is how I was wired from birth basically. But then if I didn't like the guy, and if I'm paying for the date, it's gonna be even sadder.
It's true. It's true. I have two interesting points to support what you've said. First of all, I think that so many times some women receive a certain treatment and some women not, because it is all based on our beliefs, and as you said, like the man can straight away feel and read you, you know, based on your energy, based on your set of beliefs. We're all just like speaking by our beliefs, and we always attract what we believe, right? So if you sit on a date and maybe you want to be like invited, maybe you want to like feel what it is to truly be like paid by a man, let's say, on a date, but deep down you have this belief or belief within you that I'm not worthy, or I need to give back, then it will never happen to you, because you will always reflect what you believe. But if you come on a date and you have this sort of understanding that you know what you bring to the table as a woman, and you were also like taught, like us, that this is how things should be, you will naturally attract men who would reflect your own set of beliefs.
True.
This is the first point. And the second point, which I find very interesting, and it is my latest insight about men and relationships, that men always feel when you're using them, or when you are truly engaged, and this comes from the heart.
Yeah.
So many women nowadays, they go on dates because maybe they want to have dinner, or like, and I don't judge, I just analyze. Yeah, exactly. But I just analyzed that the man can always feel that, and there is some sort of an energy of like fake energy, you know?
True.
So I think that it is very important for the highly feminine woman, and we speak a lot in my channel about this like queen empress energy. This energy is very gracious, and this energy is real, you know.
True.
So I think men truly appreciate when you, if you're with them, this is because you truly enjoy, as you said, you're having fun, you're listening, not to receive something in return. Let's say you sit on a date and you're like, okay, I'm gonna listen to him now so that he pays the bill. But you're truly enjoying, you're involved, you are sharing this beautiful energy. And then the man truly wants to be in his masculine, because he feels the energy, right? So
I agree. I think like we all mirror each other, right? So if you're using him to pay for your bills, he's gonna use you.
Exactly.
It's just like, it's natural. But I was thinking also, I don't know if it's just our society or like us as women, we're wired like that. But I feel like a lot of women treat men as some kind of a danger, and somebody who's like in power and in control, and that's why they set the rules. Like, you know, a lot of even sayings, like in the Russian culture, for example, all men are horrible, right? Like there's so many phrases that tell that all men want just sex from you. And then it's kind of, it's even ridiculous, because then it would mean that whenever you have sex with a guy, they would all disappear. How are we having families then? Like, how are we having couples that are living with each other their whole life? And I think like a lot of women act based on those beliefs that, you know, like men want something specific from them, and then they have to kind of extract something from the man.
Yeah, it's like what you give me, and what like it stops to become about connection. It's more about transactional, you know, like what are you bringing to the table, and what are you bringing to the table.
Yeah, because I also feel like coming to your previous question, I think like probably if there are girls who were never asked to pay the bill, right? And probably if anyone is having this question, it might be because you are questioning your self-worth. And it might be that like the world is just through this guy, it's reflecting your self-belief, and it's challenging you, like how much are you worth? Like what are you bringing to the table? Are you treating everything in the world as like the market, so you give and you receive? Or are you just like, are you able to accept that you're worth more than the money for the dinner?
It's true. You know, I had actually a personal experience when it comes to this, when I had dates, and I love to be fair and to find the truth. And since I was meeting many men while I was living in London who were giving me another perspective about money, I couldn't find the answer. How is it right? You know, whether the woman should expect the man to pay, or it is more like should be equal, or something like that. And then I realized that again, like it all will be as you believe.
Exactly.
You know, so if you believe that your energy, your presence is like something that is worthy, that like you know what you bring to the table, and you have that sense of worth within you. And I still believe that we men and women, we have different strength, let's say. If the man is naturally tuned to be like a provider, to fight, to create the structure and safety, the woman has her own talents, like her nurturing energy, her ability to listen, to share intuitive vision with the man, to inspire men. So when you and I didn't know that, so I was always like questioning, okay, what am I bringing to the table for real? And then I was
the face value, right?
and then I was reflecting that on men asking me this question, and I was never sure. And only after like few transformations with my relationships, I realized that as a woman, I bring this and that, and I believe in that, and I'm solid in that now. So this question started to fade away from men, because I changed my belief system and sense of worth. So it is all reflected.
I think so. I always started thinking quite recently, like I'm trying to foster my feminine side, because I think it's all like I work a lot, and I actually like put my feminine energy into work more. Like I'm not afraid to, I don't know, say something stupid, or I'm not afraid to be like, you know, okay, this is a boys talk. Can we tone it down, or say that like something is uncomfortable for me, because in our industry especially, like a lot of people are telling me bro. I'm like, I'm not a bro. Like, or mate.
Oh God.
I know it's a British thing, but I'm like, I'm not a dude, I'm not a bro, I'm not a mate. I want to make this apparent.
You
know,
don't
like,
look like bro at all.
I'm like, some jokes below the belt, I'm like, too much. You can do this with guys. To me, it's just like, I don't even find it funny, I find it too much. Or like, even in some conversations, I heard from men actually saying an interesting thing, that if you are in the room where you have at least one woman, the energy changes, like the energy shifts, and they don't want to be as aggressive. Like they kind of tune into the feminine energy, which to me was very interesting, because in a lot of my teams, I'm the only woman in the team, and I always saw this as a challenge. But then I worked with one incredible team with like 3 co-founders, and one of them was very nurturing and helping for women in crypto in particular, and he was saying that he's interested to hire women for like higher strategy roles where they have to grow the teams, because they will nurture the teams. They will not be like, we want results. They would be more like, you know, like fostering talents and creating a very safe environment and getting the same great results, but in a completely different way.
As a woman, we should become smarter and understand that our feminine energy can actually be also the key to our success in the career, because men, for example, they achieve, they're doers, this is their strength, and this is how they get results. But us as women, we have another power, let's say, and if you will know what is your power, you will be able to use it wisely and achieve high results as well, but by your feminine energy. And you will also feel great, because you know how they say, like earn money on your feminine energy, not on your masculine. So it is the secret, you know. How,
you know, I always thought that it's stupid, like all these phrases like earn money in ease, right? I was thinking this is like something that influencers are saying, because it's another predefined belief. Actually, like, again, coming from our culture, because you have to work really hard to achieve something.
it's the belief. I believe.
And working really hard means like putting a lot of hours into what you do. I think it's correct up until a certain point, because I heard the best phrase in my life. Like at first, you work hours, you invest hours into your career, and then you enjoy the hours you invested. Because from a certain point, like with anything in life, not just your work, you go through a lot of different situations, right? And sometimes like you can look at something, like let's say even in terms of relationships, you could see the way like somebody is responding to you. Like, does he take a week to get back to you? Does he tell you like, let's meet, and disappears for a week? And then you're questioning, like let's say when I was 20, I would be just like, oh my God, he finally responded. Now I'm like, listen, doesn't work for me. Like I'm not okay with being left for a week. I'm not okay with like being left hanging, because I also have my life and I have my values. Like I want a different sort of treatment, right, to me. But I think it also like matches with your kind of self-worth journey
100%.
And what you reflect. But coming back to like money in lightness, in ease, I think it really does work. And what I figured quite recently, I think for women especially, it's very important to nurture your feminine side in order to earn money. Like,
I love this.
As strange as it sounds, because at least to me, I think like you have your male side, right? That always wants to work, to achieve, to do something, to run. But as we're both women, we cannot survive on this for a long time, because you have a different, like your core goal in life and kind of like your calling is different, right? Like us as women, we're more interested to be in relationships, to be loved. We want like family at a certain point. We want to be beautiful, admired, and so on. So men have the same desires, but from a different perspective, I would say. For them, like a lot is happening through the career, because even we were discussing before with you, like as odd as it sounds, but if you have a man who is, if you see a man who is rich and successful, that's a certain aura, that's like power. You can see kind of, I think it's also an animal instinct.
For sure.
Because in your brain, it's like a switch. If he earns a lot of money, it means that he is strong. If he is strong, it means that I will be safe around him. For
and
women,
he can be a great like husband, protector, father.
You can have, at least for me, I'm like, I can have kids, because I'm not going to be scared that my kids will have nothing to eat.
And I just want to interrupt you here that even if you don't want kids, this is still ingrained in our nature to find the strongest man, you know, and you still subconsciously search for that figure that would be solid, that would be strong, and that potentially could be the father of your kids.
Yeah, I think so. It comes back to safety, right? But at the same time, like, let's say if we're talking about women, no man would ever, even, there are some men, but majority of men would not look at a woman who earns a lot and be like, oh my God, she's so strong, I'm gonna be safe around her. Like, they want a different thing, right? They would look at a woman and they would be like, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she has like good energy, she's fun to be around, I'm interested to be with her, and this is why they want to be with a woman. So I think in this case, like for women, it's probably, at least for me, like I want to have a career and I want to have money for myself to kind of park my male part in there, so that I can be a woman in relationships. And I will not be just like my way, no way, or like how much did you earn and I'm earning this. Like I'm not gonna compare myself to him, because I know that those desires are realized in a different sphere of my life.
Definitely. I think you just like explained that, gave an example for that masculine and feminine balance within us, and that you want to create that masculine stability and structure in order for your feminine to feel safe. And I also think that we attract what we have within. If we have a balanced masculine and feminine within us, we will attract the balanced masculine and feminine on the external. It's how they say, like, make your masculine and feminine merit within you, and then you would be able to attract it from the external world. You know,
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. When I realized that, I finally understood why I wasn't able to build and meet the man that I desire, because all the men that I was meeting were simply reflecting me my own wounded masculine.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't earn money, I couldn't create a structure for myself, and I was meeting men who are unable to give me structure. You know, so I think it is like a profound realization that we have both, and I believe for the man it is also important to have the feminine within him.
100%.
Because without that, it wouldn't be a deep connection in the relationship. He wouldn't be able to care. He wouldn't be able to listen to you. You wouldn't be able to connect deeply, right? So it is important to finalize this theme, because we're gonna move on now to our most juicy one. I wanted to add this beautiful perspective that we've discussed a few days ago with you in our WhatsApp conversation, that when the woman is able to earn her own money and keep independence, she has the power, because she would not deem her sense of worth when it comes to relationships. Because if the woman is only dependent from her man, because she doesn't know how to create that structure for herself, let's say, she would have to do always as man says. And sometimes, how you said to me,
I really don't know how to say this in English, but I think you're just blocking your potential.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't think. To me, what you are saying now and what we were discussing is that I think it's very, very important to understand why you're doing certain things. Because we can be doing exactly the same thing, but we're coming from different perspectives. Like, we do it for a completely different reason. And I think in this case, it tailors the whole journey. Like, let's say if you choose a man with money because you want somebody who's strong, and you are also strong, like, you just want to enjoy somebody who is your equal, let's say, or even without comparing yourself, you just want a guy like that, but you also have your own life, and you want somebody to live a great life with. Or if you choose the same guy, but you choose because you cannot have a good life by yourself, that's gonna be like two completely different stories. Because this guy, at least, maybe it's also my belief, but I think at least at some point he's going to
use this power as well, you know.
And I don't think it's even about the guy, it's about yourself, because at one point you start understanding that you depend on him. You start understanding that if you disagree with him now, for example, what if he cuts you off, and then you don't know what to do.
And here you will basically like go against yourself, lower your standards maybe, or like
you will betray yourself.
You will betray yourself, and you will betray your sense of worth, because you just don't know how to protect yourself, let's say, and you will do against your values. And if the man will see that, because they see and they read it also very easily. He may also lose respect, interest, because he can see that he has the power. And I don't say it is bad to depend on a man. I think men should feel like they're needed, you know. It creates, evokes their masculinity too.
True.
But at the same time, you should still keep your self-respect, you should still keep your values, and do not betray yourself. If you will start betraying yourself because you're simply depend on the money of your partner, of your man, he will feel it and he can also use it. And then you basically don't have the right, you can't choose. Right?
I think it's everywhere, right? Because we were even discussing with you the same topic, but through the lens of work. Like, I feel like it's extremely important to understand who you are, understand your values, and like draw very clear boundaries in all areas of your life. To be like, I'm flexible, this is okay with me, but this is 100% not okay. And if this happens, then I will act accordingly. Because I feel like as humans, we're always testing each other's borders. And something that is like, okay, for me, might be completely unacceptable for you. But I will not even think about this because it's okay for me. So I will be, unless you tell me that that's not okay, I will be stepping on your borders. Not because I'm a bad person, but just because I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. And if you do not have this foundation within you, that inner foundation, first of all, you know, then you can set boundaries, because you will always be afraid that if I will say no to this person, if I will say that this is not good for me, he can leave. And oh my God, what am I gonna be left with? But if you have this foundation within yourself, you know your sense of worth, you know your values, you know that you will not go against your values. Sometimes you can compromise when it comes to relationships, because we're all different. But at the same time, you have this confidence within you that if you will say no and this person leaves, you will be okay.
I think it's there is a very interesting kind of this self-diagnostics and self-mending mechanism. I think it's from one of the books of Dale Carnegie, and he was exploring this topic, like people who have psychosomatic issues because they're stressed. So the whole book is like, I don't remember the exact name, maybe it will come back to me. How to stop worrying and start living, something along these lines. And I think it's like one of the most brilliant things I've ever read, because it's literally like a collection of his interviews with high-powered managers or business owners. And there is one case that really spoke to me. There was a man who was the top manager in the company that was dealing with fruit expert. And he started developing some psychosomatic issues because he had some skin rash or something like that. Because he was constantly thinking that, what if the train goes off the rail, they will lose the whole batch of fruits, he's gonna be fired, and he could not like switch off this thinking.
He was anxious.
So then he tried to, because he had these issues with his health, he tried to mend it for himself, and he literally started asking questions like, okay, the train goes off the rail, what is gonna happen? All the fruits will fall off the cliff, or like they will go rotten until they will put the train back on the track. What will happen? They will lose the whole batch of fruits. Company is going to lose this money. He's going to lose his job. What is he going to do? And he reached the conclusion that like he will lose this job, he'll find another job, or the worst case scenario, he will find a job with a way lower salary that he's used to, and then he will work his way up, like back.
He will survive.
Exactly.
No matter what. I think it is all tied to our main fear of survival, you know, because if we see the chain, you know, why he was afraid of losing the fruits of this accident to happen, to lose his job, to lose his stability and safety. You know, but sometimes it's all in our mind. and the mind creates the scenarios which will never happen, probably, most probably, but we still love to exaggerate, and this is how anxiety is formed.
Yeah, you know how they say like life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love this, and I think it was a very deep conversation.